Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of TrillerTV Talk, where we talk all things Triller TV. And boy, did we have a lot on Triller TV this past week. I'm talking about the GCW Collective that came to us live from Las Vegas. I'm Josh Shernoff, and I am joined by the one and only Dave Sturchio. Dave, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
How am I? I mean, I can only imagine how tired you are being boots on the ground in Las Vegas the entire week into the weekend. But boy, oh boy, did I consume a boatload of professional wrestling over the week, man. It was absolutely insane. GCW, bravo, hats off. Just they crushed it. They always crush it, and this is no different. They really did a great job captivating the fans that attended Las Vegas for Mania Week. They were there. They were engaged. Nobody sat on their hands. Everybody was excited for professional wrestling all week long, and you were right there to see it all. I'm jealous, but I saw it all on Triller. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm still going strong here. I have what some might call adrenaline in my soul, but I'm going strong off of this. And how could I not? GCW Collective was it was a happening, as they would say. It was start to finish a bunch of different unique shows all put together into one venue, which was tremendous, by the way. The at the Palms Casino. What a great atmosphere. One of the things we want to get right into right now, and we're going to show clips as we discuss here. Bloodsport kicked things off here, and as you can see, this is one by one, all of the entrants into Bloodsport coming to the ring. Now, that didn't kick off the whole weekend. Of course, the ID tournament did as well, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But I just want to show you this as an example of the amount of talent on just one broadcast, on just one show. As you see Kratos coming to the ring, he faced Karrion Kross, who, of course, we would then see later on at WrestleMania this weekend. So he was
Busy man.
a busy guy. There he is. But a great showing. Dave, before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, and we start talking specifically about each individual show, your overall impression, let's just talk venue, the production quality, of course, a shout out to GPW Productions. You and I know them very well. Mm-hmm. They put on a tremendous, just an incredible show nonstop. I mean, those guys kind of the heart outside of Brett Lauderdale. I don't know anybody that was working harder and more consistently throughout the entire weekend than the production crew. There's Natty Neidhart, who you see, who just, we'll talk about her in a bit as well. Just another level of Natty than I think we'd ever seen. But what was your impression when you first tuned in, when you first saw this venue and you first saw the WWE ID tournament?
It was appropriate. And that's a great word. I think it's appropriate for the production, for the venue, intimate crowd, huge crowd. Every single show these guys put on. And like, again, you save your pennies all year round for a Mania week like this. But to kick it off with the WWE ID tournament, and then, you know, Bloodsport, Janela's Spring Break, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, it was just an incredible sight. The venue in itself, you were there personally, but from a consumer standpoint, for somebody watching the entire week long of professional wrestling, I want to say that it was top quality production, and a lot of people on social media were actually praising the production. And I think that goes a long way for a company like GPW Productions, who have been working side by side with me and you for years now. You know, like, they are always ready for the big stage. There was nothing about this entire week, Josh, that was any kind of like lagging, or they're like, oh, bad camera angle here, or that everything was mint. It was mint, Josh.
And that's kind of, you know, to turn it right back here to Triller TV. That's what you can expect here at Triller TV. It's not when you're watching these broadcasts, it's so easy to say, well, what do you watch on Triller? Oh, independent wrestling. And independent wrestling can sometimes have this connotation to it, right? Where it's like, okay, it's going to be this one camera focused on the ring, a hard cam shot the entire time. That's not anymore. Not 2025. Not with Triller TV. Not with the production that is going into these broadcasts. This was some of the best wrestling of the entire weekend that took place. some of the best production of the entire weekend that took place here on Triller TV. I do want to start off right now. We're going to talk about the ID tournament, and specifically, let's go right into here. This was one of the earliest. This is Marcus Mathers and we against Holloway here. Look at some of the action, a chair shot to the back. We won't call the action, but as I watch this here, we talked about last week and even the week before this ID championship tournament, how important this was for the talent to show up and show out. In my opinion, they did. Every single one of them. What was your take watching this at home and seeing the action from this tournament?
Just an incredible opportunity for all these guys. You know, it's one thing to be ID'd, and it's one thing to, you know, get this opportunity, get a chance to be on a bigger stage and have more eyeballs on you. But every single match delivered in its own way, right? You had different styles of, you know, just clashing of different styles. You just saw Marcus Mathers before. Now you're seeing highlights of more. It was just, it's the, you know, these WWE ID individuals. I said it last week. I said, you know, don't go in here thinking that you have to over prepare and you know, give it a little bit too much because you just might wind up getting lost in the lights. I can't tell if they, you know, got lost in it. Was incredibly focused on them. They knew they were on a bigger stage. They knew they had to bring it more than they have ever brought it. And I think when WWE ID, the representatives from WWE and everybody that's involved in all of this stuff are glued to this, they just, all of them individually showed out, and the action was just non-stop, Josh.
And specifically, as we were just taking a look there at Atticus Cougar,
it was inserted last second, which was incredible.
He's not, I mean, he wasn't even supposed to be here. No, he was, Atticus Cougar is, that's a GCW competitor that had the opportunity to be a part of this tournament and talk about letting the world know you belong, right? So, but again, you know, we look here, it's Gal and Rourke here, more matches that just took place. And what we're trying to show you here right now are these little clips, these little bits, so that you can see a nice spread of the action. But of course, you can start your 7-day free trial right now on Triller TV, get Triller TV Plus to watch the entire GCW collective. So you can watch all of this. And I'm sorry, if you're watching any of these clips and that's not enough to make you say, let me go watch the entire show for free, I don't know what's going to do it for you.
Something special to watch is a guy like Aaron Rourke, who I've watched day one, literally day one, step into the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy in New York. And everybody said, well, you know, he's got something, right? And then you find out more, you start to peel back the layers of who he is and what he brings to the table. And you just knew it. You felt it the entire time. I've done interviews with this guy after matches over on the Independents, and I just felt like I was in the presence of somebody that was going to be a star. And this was a come out party for him if I've never seen it, as far as his worth and his just overall stature and presence. A great match for him. And again, across the board, everybody did such a fantastic job showcasing their abilities. Not only just the ability, even the women, as you see Zeta Steele coming in, even the women coming in, and they know that after their match, they're able to walk through the curtain, you know, puff out their chest a little bit and say, you know what? Go ahead, follow that. Go ahead. I dare you.
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
Everybody was topping everybody, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you said the words "even the women," and I know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
But especially the women in some regards, right, stood out. It was watching it there, being able to be there in person and see all of this action. One thing that, and it's so funny, with the greatest cameras, the best camera angles, the best production. One thing that, if there's anything lost in watching it, and to me, I'm usually a guy who likes to watch it on TV as opposed to in person, just because you get the commentators, you get the production value, the angles, you get to, you know, which is such an important part of the entire presentation. But one thing that I will tell you that I don't know if it translated, was how hard these people were hitting each other.
Yeah, no, it translated. It
It
translated.
was so intense. And I know someone might be watching this going, are you really just talking about how hard they hit each other? That's what stood out to you. You don't understand the intensity in their eyes, the intensity in their strikes. This was something special. And I think the WWE ID, there was no better way to kick it off than part of the collective there at GCW. We do have some fan footage that we're just going to kind of roll throughout here. This comes to us here. This is from Defy Wrestling. Just a quick one here of just the back. You talk about hard hitting.
Oh my God.
Just the back and forth. And that's another thing about the collective. I mean, it's called the collective for a reason. It's a collection of all of these different promotions. And one thing that really collected all the different promotions, had WWE involved, was Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Bloodsport, which this is Bloodsport 13. Josh Barnett has put together something so unique, something so intriguing, right? And you never know. You look at it and it's you don't know what you're going to get, and then you step back and it was so good. People are still talking about. Well, let me ask you, watching Bloodsport, what was something, as we're going to bring some footage up in a second here, but what was something about Bloodsport in particular that you think maybe stood out to you as as maybe the match of the event?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, shout out to Josh Barnett and everything he's done with Bloodsport. And usually 13 is an unlucky number, Josh, but 13 delivered maybe the best we've ever seen. And I think that was a real testament to the people that he's using, the people that he booked to be on this show. Everybody seemed to be in their own element. Look, you're going to see your fighters and your grapplers throughout the course of the independents, right? But then you watch a WWE product and you're like, okay, this guy is a former grappler, former MMA, former this, former that, right? A lot of these guys and girls, specifically Karrion Kross, Natty Neidhart, all these girls, like all these stars that came in there.
There's Natty right here.
There's Nat. She looked fantastic. This honestly, and I said to a lot of my colleagues, I said, if we can get this Natty all the time, like just this gritty, fight you in your face star that can, obviously the ropes will go back up once she gets back to WWE. But what I'm saying is this intensity that she brought, that Karrion Kross brought, that all the WWE participants, including the ones they were in the ring with, everybody brought the heat, and that's exactly what you want out of something like this.
And how about that? You said the ones they're in the ring with, this opportunity to face
huge
a Natty Neidhart, to face a Karrion Kross. And in a circumstance like this, as you see, she's locking in a key lock there. Even this is
Josh. I don't want to cut you off, but like, what does this remind you of? She's in the dungeon right now. She's in her element. She's in her element. This is why it was so amazing to book somebody like this in a match like this, who wanted to challenge herself, right? You go out there and you're a professional wrestler, you're on TV, you're in front of the biggest stages of all time, right? Now you bring her back into an element that she probably hasn't even visited in quite some time, right? You don't have to channel this kind of stuff when you're on the professional wrestling screen and you're trying to do all these and tell stories in the ring. This was a fight, and I feel like Natty, of all the participants, and maybe this is a bold take, I don't know, but maybe Natty was the one to me that stands out the most of this entire weekend when it comes to the collective and it comes to the Bloodsport event itself. Natty absolutely crushed it and changed my mind on how I feel, honestly, about Natty in general. Her career is obviously amazing, but like, you see this and you're like, this is next level stuff for her.
We have, if we can bring up her ring walk just for a moment, just because I want to say, here she is.
Just presence.
When she turns around, you're going to see, there's two things I want to talk about here, because I did have the privilege of being there on behalf of TrillerTV. One thing I want to say, I believe maybe she doesn't turn around on here, and it was just because I was backstage and saw behind her jacket on the back. There it is, says low key legend. And I just thought when I saw that, wow, that's Natty. That is absolutely Natty. I loved to see that. One thing that I wanted to point out, again, as I said, I was there in person, was having that opportunity to stand backstage right before the talent would go out for Bloodsport, and to take nothing away from any of the other shows as well. But there was no, a lot of the times you look at it and you always wonder, like, what's going on behind her? They were just kind of giving a little high five, like, hey, we're going to go have some fun.
Right.
Natty specifically, I mean, she was this tunnel vision. She was so ready, so dialed in, as was everybody else. But it stood out to me. And then I probably can't say without people getting in trouble, the who's who that was back there to support her.
That's a great, me and you had spoke, and I asked you, I'm like, so how, how's it going? And you're like, you gotta, it's unbelievable who came out to support Natty right now, like as you're backstage. And I'm like, that's so awesome. You know what I mean? Like it's the professional wrestlers that have come from such the biggest and grandest of stages of them all, and then to show their loyalty and support in a weekend like this, specifically like Karrion Kross, as we're watching more footage here. Another guy that, like, I saw a very in-depth interview with Karrion Kross leading up to this, and somebody went right into it, like, hey, how about Mania? And he's like, you know what? This is a choice, man. Like, this is a choice to go out there and prove to himself that he can go back in time, turn back the clock, and look just as good as he's ever looked in a scenario, in an environment like this. Karrion Kross absolutely slaughtered this event, and I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised. And again, team acquisition, so many things lately, right? I would not be surprised if Josh Barnett and Triple H, who, by the way, remind me of somebody, like reminding me of each other, if they get in a room together and say, hey, how could we make this even bigger than it is right now? Because now 13 times Josh Barnett has knocked it out the park. And like I said before, I think the 13th one was the charm. It was the who's who, and it was just full of action. And to watch Kross and everybody do their thing, it was really inspiring, to be honest.
I think looking at this version, I heard one person there, probably a bunch of people say it, but I heard one specifically say, man, we didn't get Karrion Kross, we got Killer Kross.
Mm-hmm.
And, Karrion Kross is this incredible character on WWE TV. The work he is doing is so good, just so good. And there's this side of him, though, that people haven't had much of an opportunity to see in WWE as of late. And they'll see it for sure. But that's that Killer Kross. And for him to get in here and be able to do what he did, and props to Kratos, who
Kratos is another one that looked like a brick S house. And I'm just like, dude, these guys are going to murk each other. Like, this is going to be rough. Like, I was kind of worried for both of them.
Yeah. Likewise. One that I want to go to right now that I'd love to show. This was a great showing here by Layla Hirsch.
Yeah. Chip on her shoulder
and Blake
right now, guys. Chip on her shoulder.
And I had an opportunity to catch up with Layla Hirsch after her match, and we kind of want to bring that to you if we have it here exclusively for all of you here on TrillerTV Talk. So we're gonna take a look right now. As you see, Layla Hirsch right there does not look like she's in the best situation, but of course she did manage to pull it off. We're gonna take you right now to my exclusive backstage interview with Layla Hirsch. Hey guys, Josh Shernoff here for Triller TV, and I am joined by a victorious Layla Hirsch. Layla, incredible showing here at Bloodsport. What was it like being out there?
Thanks, man. Thank you so much, Josh. It felt incredible. Nerve-wracking. This is my first match back in, I think, 4 years. And this is Bloodsport, one of my favorite events, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to get back into it and go out, win, and make a statement. And we saw the visual statement, but what, if you had to put into words, what kind of statement are you looking to make now that you're back here in this type of environment, of course, as well, but back here in professional wrestling? To be honest, for me, it's to prove that I belong here. I keep saying this, but get back to being the performer I know I'm capable of being. You know what I mean? And that's going out there, killing it, and just giving it my all, which I do all the time. So I'm just excited to get back out there and wrestle new people and keep showing out.
Well, this is a great way to get started doing that. So awesome job tonight, and thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.
Josh, she's dialed in, and you know what it is? It's great about her too, in specific. When she was active and she was making her rounds and being on bigger stages, everybody looked at her like she's a killer. She's a killer. She's going to be great. But when you have to take some time to kind of find yourself, find your groove a little bit, and then come back and deliver a performance like that, like she never missed a beat, like she never went away, that's another testament to her hard work and her grit and her professionalism. She just said it right there in your interview. She wants to be on this stage, and what better way, what better impact to make than to get out there and get a dub at Bloodsport?
I mean, 5 feet of fury right there, right?
Listen, I'm 6'1", 275. I'm not even coming close to even messing with her. She looks like she's. Come on.
First of all, I've stood next to you. You're at best 5'9".
That's not true at all.
I'm 6'1", and I listen.
On a briefcase, but anyway,
I digress. On a briefcase, I'm even higher. Listen, one match. We talked about what was the match of the night. What was the match of the weekend? One that stood out to me, for sure, was at Bloodsport.
Yeah,
Zack Sabre Jr., Jonathan Gresham. One thing in particular, when you look at Bloodsport, you think to yourself, we're not really going to get many high spots. That's not the style, right?
Mm-mm.
These guys just tore it up to the point where when that was over, to me, I'm looking at it going, okay, I'll please, sir, may I have some more?
Right.
This could have gone on forever, and it did. I mean, it went on into overtime, but we need to see more of that.
Little Gresham, little snug, little push off, like, get out of my ring, buddy.
These guys, absolutely.
Listen, Zack Sabre Jr. is one of the best in the world. We all know that, right? We've seen his work. He's been around the world. He's been at the top of the mountain. He is unbelievable. Gresham, on the other hand, you want more. You want to see more. And this, like we said about Layla Hirsch, is something that, like, we know what he's capable of. We absolutely know what he's capable of because we've all watched him on the independents. But I'm telling you right now, when you go toe-to-toe with Zack Sabre Jr., the ropes come down. Now it's a fight. Now you have to go back to your grappling and your mat skills and your striking. This guy, again, delivered on every sense of the word, delivered on every element that you bring to a blood sport like this, right? Like,
look at that.
He needed to be prepared for this, and he took Zack Sabre Jr. to school in some regards. Like his ability to throw on the fly and his ability right here as we're watching this to just twist him like a pretzel in the middle of the ring.
Octopus, right?
Yeah,
there's where he gets that nickname. He just one thing that I can't speak enough of is just the athletic ability of everyone that competed at Bloodsport and everyone that competed the entire weekend, the entire week, I should say. Just the conditioning that goes into it. And again, I go back to what I mentioned with Natty before, but it really was everybody as well. That tunnel vision when they get in there, and to see how much this meant. I will tell you, not a single person showed up going, this is just another booking.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know what I mean? This was
across the board.
For a lot of people, this was their Mania week, right? That's what this was. For a lot of people, maybe this is the height of where they're ever going to get to. And listen, that's so much higher than most people ever get in this industry. I was blown away by it. I was so super impressed,
Josh,
by the ability.
Not to cut you off again, but you say like this might be the pinnacle for a couple of these people. Let's not make no mistake about it. Triller TV is global, so like this might be bigger in some regards to some of the spots they may have landed on a different promotion or a different roster, right? The reach that Triller TV has is everywhere, right? So like the eyes on you right now in the biggest week in wrestling of the calendar year, like as much as we say like this might be it, you're right. It might be, and it's great. You know what I mean? It's great that you made it to this level, because this level gets more eyes. Specifically, like I just said, in this week alone, in Mania week, the eyes that are on the product are just it's immeasurable, right? Because you get what you get at the end of the weekends. We all watched, everybody, if you're a wrestling fan, you watched, right? But like leading up, if you had a spot on any of these shows, just know and just be confident in knowing that you're being seen by just as many people if they so choose, right? The audience is just as big globally.
Oh, without question. One person that I'd bet money this is not his ceiling. Second generation wrestler, Kerry Morton. So I'm backstage and I see Kerry Morton there. And look, I got a run sheet in front of me. I know what matches are on the card. And here's Kerry Morton in his gear, ready to go. Not on the card. And so I actually caught up with him. We're gonna take it to that right now, because I actually caught up with Kerry Morton before what would eventually transpire and we would see. But take a look at what he had to say.
Hey guys, Josh Shernoff here for Triller TV, and we're backstage. Man dressed here, Kerry Morton. I was looking at the card earlier. I didn't see your name on it, but you look ready to go. Can you give us a little bit of an insight?
Let me just start off by this. All right, I wrestled 2 shows today. 2 shows that were sold out. Kerry Morton puts asses in seats. Let that be said right now. NWA, I put asses in seats. Right now, I put asses in seats. Now, with that being said, I came to Joey Janela Spring Break. I wanted to see what's popping. I wanted to see what's going on in the air right now, because you know what? I've been at the past few Joey Janela Spring Breaks, and every single time I ought to steal the show. And I see these young cats in the locker room, and I see these old men kind of humping up and down their way, trying to get that last motion in the ocean. That pisses me the hell off. Nobody, and I mean this, cameraman, absolutely nobody outshines Kerry Morton. Because, man, as you know, as the fans know, they don't make them like this anymore.
Thank you for the interview. And I suppose thank you for that. Tune in now on Triller TV and see, maybe, who knows what's going to happen.
That's confidence level at 1,000,000, right? And Josh, that's an awesome interview with him, because you saw the look in his eyes that he's like, move over, my time right now. Let's do this. And like, you believe it. He's a throwback. He's old school. You just felt it. You felt it. And if you're a wrestling promoter out there and you watch that interview, I'd give him a call right now. It's Monday morning as we record this. Like, let's get going.
So here's what happens later on. Here he is. He took an opportunity, found himself out into the senior scramble with his dad out there, found himself right in the middle. And this is what ended up happening to poor Kerry Morton.
Yeah. So, the whole thing about, he's ready to go. Well, maybe not so much for the old school cats and his father.
Yeah. I mean, it was, look, I got to give him credit. He put himself out there, got himself in, and there you go. He was a little what for you. But look, Kerry Morton is, in my opinion, even if things didn't work out exactly the way I think he had hoped, maybe it did, right? He got himself on camera, and that's what Kerry Morton's all about. I also had the opportunity, you saw on Triller's social media, I had the opportunity to chat with the Rock and Roll Express as well. And I mean, look at this, just the action, and then he pulls him down. I mean, this was just Kerry Morton, no care or respect for his elders.
Not at all.
Seem. But I think if we're going to talk about Joey Janela Spring Break, which it seems like we've kind of worked our way into talking about it. One thing that I do want to talk specifically about, we're going to go right here, was kind of a big moment that I really wasn't expecting. We talked about Atticus Cougar earlier, but he was in there against Fuego del Sol in a career versus mask match, and Fuego lost the mask.
Yeah. I mean, we know how Lucha is operated, being fans of the of the sport for so long. We know that's such a sacred thing for your mask. And look,
I mean, that mask was damaged anyway. So
yeah, I mean, he might as well get rid of it at that point and change it maybe. But yeah, it's just something to be said about Cougar because, again, one of the up-and-comers, one of the guys that have really, really made a name for himself within GCW and being involved in the WWE ID collective match. But this match, like you said, Josh, it stopped a lot of people in their tracks. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing about Janela's Spring Break and everything, all the action you saw right here on Triller TV is that you couldn't look away. There wasn't a moment to get up and get a snack. There really wasn't. I hope you preloaded all your drinks and everything like that because you just couldn't walk away or look away from some of the action you were seeing, specifically that match where it was such a catastrophic thing for his career to unveil. You know what I mean? Like, we don't see that very often in this sport, but that means something in this sport. That means a lot.
I will tell you, you talk about looking away. There was a lot of action that made me want to look away, but I couldn't because it was still so good.
Yeah.
But before we get to some of that, one that I couldn't take my eyes off of the action in the ring here. Somebody, you know, we both know well, Masha Slamovich.
She is, I can't say enough. Can't say enough about her. She's
to take nothing away from her opponent, of course.
No, not at all. But Masha's a gamer. She is all business. I've worked with her. I've booked her on my shows, right? She is an absolute star. And I think all the companies are recognizing that already. So it's not like it's breaking news. She delivered. She
wrestled multiple times on the weekend.
Right.
And of course, she is the TNA Knockouts champion. She defended that title multiple times as well. I had an opportunity to catch up with her after one of her defenses. We're going to take a look at that right now.
Josh Shernoff here for Triller TV. We are backstage right now, immediately following Masha Slamovich's victory, successfully defending your Knockouts championship. First of all, are you still dizzy from that spin?
Oh, let's not talk about it. The spin was like a cycle of my life. I never know when it's going to end. It's like a washing machine, it just keeps on going.
I mean, it was a hard-hitting, hard-fought victory. How are you feeling coming out of this? I mean, this is a fantastic title defense.
Man, I feel pretty good, and I want to say Miyu Watanabe is quite the challenger. She really brought the fight. I'd really love to see us have a nice little rematch at TNA for this title if the stars will so align. But I'm feeling great so far, and the day is young. We've got, you know, a day full of events to go on Triller TV, and me and this title will be there.
Well, we look forward to seeing that. Congratulations on your victory. And go right now, if you're not watching already, Triller TV, GCW Collective.
And I'd like to second myself. If you haven't, go now to Triller TV. 7 days free trial. You can start your 7-day free trial. Triller TV Plus. You'll be able to watch everything that we're talking about in its entirety. Do yourself that.
You can binge watch. You can binge watch the Collective, Josh. Binge watch right in a row. If you want to sit there and you have your eyes just pulsate out of your face because it's so good and so captivating.
Days of incredible action. Masha mentioned TNA. We have to talk about TNA, but before we do, there is just one more match. We'd be remiss if we forgot to mention this, and you know how I feel about being remiss. So
talk about dress for the occasion, by the way. You know, like just in a nice white suit and knowing
as unpredictable.
There won't be any blood. Don't worry about it. You won't ruin that white suit at all.
This was certainly the final time he'll ever wear that suit. And final match. And as you see, Bill Alfonso, out of nowhere, coming out, the pop that he got just from blowing a whistle. But Sabu stabbing Joey Janela in the head. This was Sabu's last match. This is it. This is it for him. We saw some violence in this match. We saw.
I would call it violence. I would call it borderline insanity. And that's exactly what you're going to get when you get a Sabu. And knowing this was his swan song and knowing going in that there will be no more. So he says, I mean, it's pro wrestling. You just never know, right? But in his regard, you just knew it. And like you said, we were talking about this in pre-production. about some of the highlights of the match. And right here is the moment. Right there is the moment where you said Sabu became Sabu in this moment, meaning it triggered everything that you've ever seen this guy bring. Okay. Every moniker he's ever been called over at ECW, everything that you know about Sabu came out in this final battle against Joey Janela. And again, my hat's off to Joey Janela Spring Break, because again, it delivered. There's just no other ways to describe this, but the violence that these two possess.
Here you go. we fast forward, and things are looking a slightly different color. And look, I mean, it is, and this is after a vicious bump that Sabu had taken. I mean, this was.
And remember, guys, like it's not your ropes. This is barbed wire. There's barbed wire everywhere, chairs everywhere, tables everywhere, just things to mangle your flesh is all over this.
You can see it on the screen. You can see it by the way their bodies were torn apart. Their clothing was torn apart by this barbed wire. So you don't have to take my word for it. You can see with your own eyes. But another opportunity that I had being backstage is, you always you look over, you see the barbed wire sitting there, right? You see it all before the show, and it's sitting there. Here it is, spooled up. What's going to end up being the ropes. Here's this big web, right? This spider web cage there. You go over and you look, in the back of your mind, He's hugging.
Like, first of all,
so much respect, and then
Janela does a four-seam fastball with the chair, hits him directly in the head, and the first thing the Sabu thinks to do, like, come on, dude, bring it, come here. That was awesome. It's like, what are you doing?
Really appreciated it.
Sabu is just like you said, man.
What I have to say though is I got up close and personal with that barbed wire, and in the back of your mind, you're kind of, you're always. I've been in this business for 20 plus years. I know that that's legit, but in the back of your mind, you're always like, I mean, these guys they're not that crazy. You know what I mean? The barbed wire, that's bent. That's that's shaved down. That's a little. So you go over, you take a look, you go, okay, well, all right. Well, that one's real. Well, let me find it. Oh, no, that one's real. Yeah, maybe it just looks real. Let me ow, that hurt. That was razor sharp barbed wire.
Sources have said, and then what I'm hearing now the producer's coming in saying that Josh Shernoff's blood was actually on the barbed wire before anybody else's. You tried
bleeding profusely.
You effed around and found out, Josh, that this barbed wire is not your gimmicked up barbed wire. Like, this was legitimate.
One other thing that took place that was a goosebumps moment. You and I have had the opportunity to see this in person on numerous occasions, but it never gets old. And there was something about the balcony that made this happen. And I'm talking about the Sandman. Now, you and I can attest, and if you need to go back to, there's a little promotion called Awesome Championship Wrestling. And I say little,
on the rise, my friend, on the rise.
Unbelievable what they do. Awesome Championship Wrestling. Greatest commentary I've ever heard, by the way.
Honestly, I've never heard anything better.
They had a show in January here on Triller TV. You can watch it in 7-day free trial. And Tommy Dreamer was being beaten up. And his old ECW brethren, the Sandman, decided to make the save. And 45 minutes later, the Sandman got to the ring and cleaned house. And let me tell you, as soon as I heard that music, I thought two things. First, I felt the goosebumps. Sure. And I thought, oh my God, Sabu's last match. And here comes the Sandman. Enter Sandman playing. I'm a kid again, right? I'm from Philly. I'm an ECW diehard. This was incredible. And then I thought to myself, oh man, I really, really hope whoever he's coming to save finds an alternative, because Sandman, as you can see here,
he's indulging with the crowd, and he's doing his drinking, and
that's when I realized,
oh good,
the Sandman does not come to make the save.
No,
the Sandman comes to just have a good time.
Right.
And just hit people with a kendo stick and drink some beer and celebrate with the fans. And when he eventually gets to the ring, if he sees an opportunity, he'll get involved. So don't think of it as the Sandman making a save. Think of it as the Sandman appearing at Joey Janela's spring break.
So if you're going into a big match like Sabu, like Joey Janela was and were, right? You know, if you're like, man, just in case things get a little froggy, I need some backup. I think the last person on the face of the earth that you would ask for backup is the Sandman, because of the fact that, yes, when he's in there, he swings that kendo stick like nobody else, right? It's a matter of just getting in there, right? And if you need help on the immediate, I don't know, call somebody else. Call somebody else.
Not your guy.
Nah, not the guy.
Your guy.
Not your guy, pal.
We're gonna shift gears, but to put a bow on the Collective, there's so much we didn't even touch on. Stardom, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, so much other action that we don't have enough time. We're 40 minutes deep into this episode, and we weren't even able to touch everything on there, but we have more to talk about. But go right now, Triller TV Plus, start your 7-day free trial. I implore you to do so. As one wrestling fan to another, I am telling you, you will not regret 7-day free trial. The only thing you're going to regret is that you only have 7 days free, because I'm not entirely sure you will be able to consume everything that took place during the Collective during Mania week on Triller TV in just 7 days, because there was so much overlapping, right? There'd be one show here at the Palms, the theater at the Palms, and then there's another show going on down the street and another one across the way. So go check it out. I know I'm going to check it out because there's stuff. I was at the Palms the whole time. I missed some stuff
there. And you actually said that. You're like, man, I wanted to watch this. I wanted to see this, but I was over here doing this. So you can only be one person. For me, I can flip back and forth and all around. There is actually multiple people. This is a true story. Multiple people had inquired with me, hey, you know, how can I access some of this stuff? I said, guys, don't ask me. Just go to Triller TV and actually go get your free trial. And they're like, oh, wait, free trial? Some people were like astonished that they're going to get this free trial during the biggest week of professional wrestling.
They're trying to figure out the catch.
Right. They're like, wait, hold on. None of this can't be free. That doesn't make any sense.
Catch.
What's the
catch? I did find the catch, though.
Oh,
here's the catch.
Breaking news. Here we go.
The catch is the quality of the performances, of the production, of the entertainment, of the action, the athleticism is so good that you are going to be forced to subscribe to Triller TV Plus at the end of the 7-day free trial, because you are going to watch 7 days for free, and you're going to sit there. You're going to go. It's only 7 days. It's only 7 days.
Yeah. Nope, no. Can I tell you a true story? I'm a victim of this, right? Like, I'm a victim of once upon a time. I'm like, oh, cool. They give us 7 day free trial. I'll just check it out. When that 7th day hit, I'm like, oh my God. How much can I cram it? You know what? It's worth it. Just go. Just
what happened? Where's my Triller TV? What happened to it? Where did it go?
So just do it and do it and absorb and take in everything that was the Collective. And Josh, like you said, to put a bow on all this, just a great atmosphere, a great venue. Like we said multiple times, great production. Everything just clicked. And that's exactly what you want on the biggest week of the wrestling calendar year. It was awesome.
But it didn't end with the Collective, because
no, it did not.
We also had TNA Unbreakable that took place in Las Vegas as well. One match we're going to go to right now. We're going to show you just a clip from this. History was made. It is so rare this day and age in wrestling to have a first. Steve Macklin there with AJ Francis. Which, first of all, shout out to Steve Macklin for being able to get that man in a tree of woe, because that is a big boy. And I personally have had the opportunity at Fight Factory Wrestling to have found myself up, and much like Steve Macklin, I got out of that.
Just
got out of that choke
like a gazelle. Yeah,
it was similar, very similar. But Steve Macklin took this opportunity to become the first ever TNA International Champion. He said in an interview immediately following that this championship is going to be the workhorse championship. And if you're familiar with TNA and you're familiar with, oh, by the way, where was their world champion on on Sunday night. How about WrestleMania? Okay, against
Somebody
Randy
said
Orton.
his name and he just wound up appearing.
And he appeared. And so the world champion is already, I mean, he's working, everywhere. X Division. You talk about a workhorse title. How can you not say the X Division title? So for Steve Maclin to make such a bold statement, there are not a lot of people who could back that up. But I'm going to tell you from firsthand experience of knowing Steve Maclin, of being able to watch him up close in the ring. I can't think of anybody better to deliver on the promise of that championship becoming the workhorse title. And in a company of workhorse championships, he is looking to make that stand above the rest. So congratulations to Steve Maclin. What a show.
We say it a lot in this business, is that, the title doesn't make the wrestler makes the title, right? And I think that what you're seeing here is an example of that, even if it's the opposite of what you usually hear, right? Steve Maclin being presented this championship by Santino was a moment that we're all going to remember from Mania Week here on Triller TV. Steve Maclin is, and no pun at certain new Hall of Famers, but he is the total package, right? Like, he is everything he says he is, and everything he says he's going to do, he delivers. And Maclin is the perfect choice, I think, to take this championship to new heights, or heights that it's never seen before, because it's brand new. So it's something that we're very excited about as a fan base, right? When you get to watch and you're like, oh, a brand new championship. Like you mentioned, the X Division championship, the world champion was on the biggest of stages of ever, right? This relationship they've also developed with WWE, there's so much you could say about something like this because of the now national/global exposure it's going to get. And I'm excited to see Maclin's reign here. I'm excited to see his opponents. They're going to be lined up at the door. And I wouldn't be surprised if AJ Francis is the first one, kicking it down, because of the fact that he felt like he was this close to capturing that championship. So I'm excited about it. TNA, again, on a new resurgence. I think that these guys have all put in their time, all put in the work, and I'm a big believer in the future of TNA wrestling.
I do have to say, if you thought the Sabu Joey Janela match was the only bloodshed,
can we do one of these viewer discretion is advised things? Because
viewer discretion is advised.
I know what you're about to watch here. If you have kids and you're watching this program and you love it and you're like, this is such a great show, and like we know it's a great show, but what I'm saying is just earmuffs and blinders and turn around for like a half a second, because what you're about to see right here is Sami Callihan and Mance Warner at their very peak of what these guys possess. What a week, by the way, for Mance Warner, because this dude was everywhere.
You think this is the only place where he spilled some blood?
Yeah,
I mean,
he needs an oil
watch the
change
Mance Warner
fast.
show. Yeah, go to the Mance Warner show on Triller TV Plus and watch all of his matches from the Collective, multiple matches from the Collective, and then this. And a little "How's Your Father" by Sami Callihan.
The old Twig and Giggleberries there, and so it's just. I think some of this action. I don't know, Josh. I mean, it's like what do you got, Sacco here? He's just making sure he
kind of
cut himself.
Paying homage to Mr. Sacco.
Yeah,
a mandible claw with. I mean, we listen. To each his own. Is important.
I can tell you right now.
This was one that was actually discussed. This was one that was discussed before we went on the air by the team here at Triller TV.
Mm-hmm. Should we show it? Should we not show it?
Ivan puts these things together. He is incredible. He is unsung hero of the show, and we'll probably right about there is where we'll bring it on back to us.
Listen, Sami Callihan, I've known Sami Callihan my entire career. He was literally a part of my first professional wrestling event that I've ever participated on. So I got to know Sami Callihan very well. And I know that dude possesses another level of just hardcore intensity that not many people can match. And Sami Callihan's been doing this for quite some time now. And that little spot right there, I say little spot to just be very gracious about it. That spot right there will probably go down as one of the most gruesome things that I've ever watched in real time. As I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, he's at the stapler and he's, wait, no, he's not gonna. No, he's not. Oh, and you just see it in develop, and I'm just like, God, please don't ever do that again.
I do have to say though, not to jump back to the collective or anything, but to jump back, there are some violent matches. There was blood spilled. Minoru Suzuki, we all know, is hard hitting, is violent in a way that few can handle. He competed in several matches. I had an opportunity to catch up with his opponent after one of these matches, and I'm going to get again. Viewer discretion is advised. The graphic nature. I mean, the blood was still there, hadn't been wiped away. No stitches had been given at this point. But I'd like to just take you to this exclusive post-match interview that I had the privilege of conducting. We're going to go take a look at that right now.
Josh Shernoff here for Triller TV. Folks, an incredible match we just saw. Minoru Suzuki victorious, still retaining his championship. Here's his opponent, Yoshihito. Do you have anything to say? Obviously, you're about to go get stitched up. Anything perhaps you could say to us? We did see a valiant effort from you at one point. A Fujiwara armbar was applied, and we thought that perhaps we would be looking at a new champion. Unfortunately, the cards were not in your favor here in Las Vegas. Moving forward, do you have any idea for a future what it might look like, either here at DDT or anywhere else in professional wrestling? I think it must be a language barrier of some sorts, but anyway, congratulations on a well-fought match, and I'm sorry that it didn't work out otherwise for you. For Josh Shernoff, we'll catch you on Triller TV. Okay, then. Thank you so much.
Josh, I never want your journalistic integrity ever questioned ever again. That was riveting. That was riveting. And yeah, it's unfortunate there is a little bit of a language barrier there, so we really couldn't get a lot. But boy.
But I think you could look in her eyes, and it told the story, right?
Right.
I think
right.
People toss around the term hero, but look, you have to get in there and be willing to, get a little blood on your suit. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was willing to do for Triller TV.
Sacrifices, folks. This is why you get, this is why you're in this industry and you're in the position you're in, because of sacrifices like this and putting your body out there and just taking a risk. You take a risk, take a chance. Here we are.
Speaking of taking a risk and taking a chance, somebody who has done that, Scott D'Amore.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Scott D'Amore has taken a chance here with when he left TNA. What was next for Scott D'Amore? We weren't sure. And then all of a sudden he hit us with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Phenomenal first showings, right? The first few nights of that production value, unbelievable. I had said once upon a time that it reminded me of original TNA in the best of ways. And I'm excited for this May, their next outing, which will be exclusively live on Triller TV on pay-per-view here. You do not want to miss it. We have an opportunity now as we round out this show. We want you to take a look, just a few minutes here. Camera crews caught up with Scott D'Amore, put together this incredible this video package here where Scott really explains why going to the Maple Leaf Gardens is so important for Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. We want to take this. We'll be right back to wrap up the show after this, but please just take a moment and watch this now.
Bringing the Maple Leaf brand of professional wrestling back to this building is monumental. It's something that's been talked about for years since they stopped running this venue, right? Like Maple Leaf Gardens is the mecca of professional wrestling in Canada. And just walking in here today, like I got out of the Uber and like turned and looked, and that marquee's there, Maple Leaf Gardens. And then to go up the escalator and see like some of the pictures and so much of the history that's happened in this building. Hey, this is something you don't see very often. I mean, One of these days, I hope I can see this like in color. As a Leafs fan, it'd be nice to see a Stanley Cup win in color. And then walking into the, what's now the, the Arena Bowl here at the Mattamy Athletic Center, right? And you look up, and it's that same roof that you've seen so many times in Maple Leaf Gardens. For fans of that era, I think it means so much to them. And I think it's so important for younger fans. We now have an opportunity to show them and let them experience our rich Canadian history. My first memory of Maple Leaf Gardens, I actually wasn't wrestling. I was young. I'll say maybe 8, 9 years old, and it was coming here. It was a Saturday night. It was a hockey game. It was the Toronto Maple Leafs, and just coming up, right? Because in Canada, every Saturday meant Hockey Night in Canada, and Hockey Night in Canada, means the Toronto Maple Leafs. And watching all those games with my grandfather when I was young, and cheering on the Leafs, and then coming here with my parents and my cousin, and getting to come and see Maple Leaf Gardens in person. It was like it's such a cool experience as a kid, and getting to experience it and see that. And the old Maple Leaf Gardens, when you sat in the gold seats, were like the really good seats. And the one time we had the really good seats because it was a business associate of my old man's. And you actually had to walk down and go behind the bench and in between the players. So I spent that whole night as many times as I could. I needed to go to the concession stand, I needed to go to the washroom, whatever I could do to go down there, because you got to walk in and among your heroes. So that was that was my first experience, and that was really neat. The other really cool experience I had here at Maple Leaf Gardens was as an adult, bringing my trainer, the Canadian Destroyer, Doug Chevalier, who was such a huge hockey fan, and obviously such a huge wrestling fan. And bringing him, he had never been to Maple Leaf Gardens. I was probably in my late 20s, maybe. He was maybe in his late 30s. And bringing him here and seeing the look on his face as he got to walk around and see that history. This building breathes history. This building is so like, all the words, iconic, historic, all of them just don't sum up what this building is. This building is Canada wrapped up in one place. It breathes, it seeps out of the pores of the cinder block. It trickles down from that ceiling that still looks the exact same. It's a unique place. I think it's a unique place for professional wrestling, and it's a unique place for our country. And at a time when we all need to unite from all corners of this country and proudly be Canadian, we're here. We're at Maple Leaf Gardens. The return of professional wrestling to Maple Leaf Gardens, it's something that I've waited for my whole life. One of my dreams was to wrestle in this building and to be part of wrestling in this building. And I mean, I've wrestled at the Joe Louis where I grew up as a kid. I've wrestled at Skydome in front of 40,000 people. I've been part of events in the Tokyo Dome and all over the world. But now I'm wrestling in Maple Leaf Gardens, the mecca of wrestling in Canada, the mecca of sports in Canada, and one of the greatest and most historic venues in all of the world. Today's been an emotional day. Getting to church in Carleton, seeing that marquee that's so iconic, that still says Maple Leaf Gardens and still shines. Had to stop and kind of breathe it in. You can just feel the history. It oozes out the pores of this place. That emotion and that feeling just like wash over. It's like being 8 years old again, and standing there, and I can picture the ring there, and I can see the ramp and everything else. It gives us an opportunity to unite our rich wrestling history and on our amazing, talent and product presently with Maple Leaf Pro. I think it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. The building has been updated and redone in so many ways, but there's still, as I look around there, I'm looking for the gremlins, like what's gonna sneak up and get us. Dealing with all that, there's always those type of nuances and angst and excitement all mixed together with an event. And this one's just heightened because it is literally one of the meccas of sport in this entire world. And we're back.
In the fields, Josh. In the field. And let me tell you something. And this is just that's honestly the first time I've seen that footage. So I know we usually go over things and start playing things and whatever. But like I couldn't look away. I couldn't that's some moving stuff. And me as a newbie when it comes to wrestling promotions and promoters and bookers and all that stuff, you look at this as an inspiring thing. And what Scott D'Amore is doing with Maple Leaf Pro, it's just you can't put that into words what he's doing for the wrestling industry, more so for the Canadian history of professional wrestling, which just goes so deep. And, you know, over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a lot more people announced. Cardona just got announced. Like, there's a lot in store for Maple Leaf Pro. I'm excited as a new fan of this promotion to watch it deliver.
There's a lot in store for Maple Leaf Pro. Of course, that comes to you live on Triller TV, pay-per-view on May 10th. You do not want to miss it. I mean, it's going to be celebrating history while making history. We're really looking forward to seeing that. So much more coming up. Of course, if you're international, go to AEW Plus here on Triller TV, and you can watch AEW Dynamite Collision this week. That continues to grow as the Owen Hart tournament continues to build, more and more, getting closer to All In and getting closer to Double or Nothing. The finals of that tournament, really kind of seeing where that's going to lead. And I kind of have my predictions, but you know, we'll talk about that in the future. But I'm very much looking forward to all of the action that is coming up here on Triller TV. And again, this is the last time I'll say it, I promise. Last time this episode, 7-day free trial. Go start your 7-day free trial right now. As soon as you're done watching this, go right now. Catch up on what you missed over the past week, Mania in Vegas. Go check out Mania Week here on Triller TV, GCW Collective, of course, TNA, and so much more. FSW, which was a part as well. They had another part of the WWE ID Championship tournament. We didn't even have an opportunity to get to that, and it's been an hour. And we thank you for spending this hour with us here on Triller TV. For Dave Sturchio, I'm Josh Shernoff. This has been Triller TV Talk, where we talk all things Triller TV. We'll see you next time.